Hey guys. Okay, I'm gonna try to be faster for the second one. So we're gonna cover provide assessment feedback and build system to analyze and interpret data. And for these two same philosophy, we're gonna give you an overview and then dive into just one. So for provide assessment feedback, I'm not gonna dive into the first one, but it's kind of the complement of what we did previously with check for understanding. So in the check for understanding strategy, teachers were learning about how to do this check for understanding piece, get ideas of like methods and techniques. But with this one, it pushes to the stage of like what to do with the data and how can I use that check for understanding data simply and quickly in the classroom to respond. And then the one we're going to dive in is this one. And the reason being that I find myself using it a lot, in particular in the context of blended learning classroom. So I'm going to click on it. So this idea of a whole class data routines, when you look at the blended learning master teacher's profile, one of the things you seem to find consistently across the board is each of them has some kind of whole class routine. So culturally, it's important to have a whole class routine in an environment where students are working at different pace. But if you can also use this routine to connect it to what's happening online and show the students that you have a complete view of what's happening online, that you're able to celebrate, identify growth areas and set goals, then it makes a big difference in the classroom moving forward. And to me, that's usually one of the first breakthrough with people doing blended learning or having done blended learning for a while when you show them the power of doing this. So around this, in the building background knowledge section, you'll see 3 master teachers video, one of them being Daniel's, Mark, and Freddie, and they do their own version of a whole class data dive routine. And then I make teachers reflect after watching this video on what structure they seem to identify there, because I think they're a very similar structure from one to another. And then start the process of thinking about elements of these routine they would like to incorporate in their own. So then from there, they could start creating their whole class data dive routine. And this is where we can make them draft the structure. What do you want to look at with the students? What type of data is important? Oops, sorry about that. And then how do you create a culture for this moment to be a positive one? And then eventually the questions you can use to structure it right here. And then go back one step. And of course, then you can test it as usual. So I've been using this one quite a bit in the ID section. The tech tool connected to this TC around providing assessment feedback is Google Form this time. Then I'm going to go out and talk a little bit about the second one, build system to analyze and interpret data. Again, you're going to find a companion TC with check for understanding and using data on the spot, which is here, using on-the-spot assessments to differentiate instruction. I won't dive into this one, but it will continue to push people toward this idea of like doing something with on-the-spot informal assessment data. And you can see Marzano's practice, for example, as a way, but also some tech tools that can support this on-the-spot assessment like Plickers or Socrative. But it continues in the direction of using informal assessment for differentiation, so quite helpful in blended learning, for example, but beyond too. The one I'd like to dive a little deeper in is DDI and the tech tool associated with it, which is Mastery Connect. So for this one, I thought it would be helpful to help teachers with building culture and system around what we call data-driven instruction. And so there are a few resources here to learn about data-driven instruction. There are more and more districts in the country now that are adopting this approach, in particular because some of our charters nationwide have had a lot of success with it. So we're seeing this kind of like grow around the country. So it can be helpful to have something that can help simplify the understanding of it. And then mostly here in the creation and test, I've added some resources to be able to do this with your teams and start doing it in a non-threatening kind of way. And so I think that could be helpful, and that help a lot of time teams that have no idea what they could do with their formative assessment data. And so one thing I've noticed is more and more districts are adding common assessments, investing money in it, but then schools are receiving those and they don't know what to do with them. And so that is when this can come into play, is like trying to help people with that. And then at the bottom for the EdTech tool, Mastery Connect is a tool that is free for part of it, and of course you can pay for a premium, but it's something that is becoming also more and more popular in certain parts of the country where people can assess students and then have that data fall into a tracker aligned to Common Core standards. And so this could be a really helpful tool when you start getting into utilizing your data better for intervention. So I included that there. Don't know that I manage being shorter. Yeah, a little bit. Well, good exploration with these two, and hope that this will be helpful. Bye.